Okay, friends, internet friends, there's definitely a rat coming up. That was a chipmunk. There was a rat. Trying something a little bit different today. I'd like to start this new series where I do a walk and talk about tech. I think we can call it Walk and Tech. Walk and Tech, I like it. Okay, so there's one phone I'd like to cover in today's episode of this because there's a new version coming out next month. And that phone is the Pixel 3 XL. I've been using this since release of last year, since October, and I think it's worked out okay. I'll go over all my issues and complaints with it. I'm going to take a slightly different turn. I'm going to go down into a more interesting area of the park. I am in Central Park right now. So what I'd like to mention about this phone is that, yes, it's a Google phone, so it does get the latest updates. It is getting monthly updates of all the security updates. It got Android 10, of course. The only other phone that got Android 10 as quickly as the Pixel was, I think, the Essential phone, which is actually quite impressive for what it does. But I haven't personally tried it out myself. So the Pixel 3 XL, doing pretty well in terms of its function over the year. I have to say, in terms of battery, I can't speak fully on that because I have it constantly in a wireless charger if I'm at home or at work. But in terms of camera, fantastic. Performance otherwise, fantastic. Haven't had any slowdowns. So we talked a little bit about the battery. It can get me through a full day if I have to, but if you do any kind of mobile gaming, it won't make it to the end of the day once you carry a battery bank. Touchscreen responsiveness is great. Outdoor visibility is great. Again, this wasn't touted as one of the highest brightness screens in outdoors, but it's enough to get you through a sunny day. I think the new iPhone gets up to 1200 nits, which is kind of impressive, but we'll see if Google can keep up with the Pixel 4 coming out next month. I feel like those are my main positives of the phone. Smooth, fluid, good update schedules, always have the latest security updates. One of the caveats I think with that is the developers can get lazier because if they break something, they'll be like, oh, we can fix it next month, rather than completing full testing that they might be doing. They'll actually make it a little bit longer. And then the testing actually ends up falling on the public. So what we're doing here is we're about to cross a little bit of a bridge. Kind of an interesting little area. Let me rearrange the camera. On this side you can see a waterfall. One of a couple in Central Park. I think there's another one, but I don't know exactly where it is. Interesting little scenery. Walkway, bridge. Come down here a little bit. Just give an idea of it. Beautiful. On the other side, so this actually has a bit of a smell. Completely covered in what I assume is algae and still water, so breeding ground for mosquitoes. We won't stick around for too long. So the Pixel 3 XL. Right now I have a Bellroy case on it, which I would highly recommend. Great little leather back case with enough of a lip to put your phone face down and not worry about scratching up the screen. One thing I don't like particularly is the RAM management. Whether it's software or hardware, unclear. Seems to be related to some aggressive settings that Google has determined. One way, surefire way to kill off an app in the background, for example Spotify. You have Spotify running, playing Bluetooth headphones or just in a speaker or whatever. You go into the camera app, take a few photos. It's almost guaranteed that the camera app will kill Spotify after a few photos. Same with Twitch streaming in the background, which I like to do a lot. when I'm walking. So if I want to snap a shot and I'm listening to Spotify, I'm prepared to have to reopen Spotify or Twitch after taking a photo. Now, nonetheless, photos do come out very nicely. There's a nice field here I just want to show you. You might have seen this in my other walking videos, but I never get a chance to talk about them. So the RAM management, too aggressive. Again, I don't know how optimized Google OS is compared to Apple. They've been doing this for years. They still top out at, I think, 4 gigs of RAM in the newest model, but I believe their background applications run a little bit differently and get suspended a little bit differently than Google's. So that's why phones such as the OnePlus 7T, I think that would, the fastest model, the highest spec model, has up to 12 gigs of RAM. A lot less issues with RAM management and aggressive application closing. What else can I say? The Bluetooth. Yes, I know I'm going off the top of my head here, but it's also a little bit hard to concentrate when I'm trying to not faint from being out of breath. Bluetooth. So it works okay. Google has never been known for having the best Bluetooth stack in the game. It shows with some headphones more than others. So with my current active headphones of choice, the Powerbeats Pro, yes, I know Beats headphones, but for me they actually work pretty well, and they're much different than the prior Beats series since before they were acquired by Apple. Those headphones actually work out quite well, except when I'm in very heavily populated areas. So in those times, Bluetooth tends to drop out significantly. Not all headphones do that. The Jabra Elite 65Ts, they actually function fine the whole walk through, but because of their design and my ears get sweaty, they can easily pop out, and then I have to push them in and make this weird suctioning sound that is hard to replicate. I'll show you another baseball field while we're looking. Very nice. Okay. So really, the main thing to really think about is what's Google going to do in their next phone, the Pixel 4. They did a great job with the Pixel 3a and the Pixel 3a XL. I think the expectation was, because they were able to do so well with a budget phone, which they've done in the past with the Nexus series, but they kind of flipped up the script a little bit, where it's now top of the line camera with middle of the line specs, rather than before trying to pump as much specs with a sacrificing camera quality, aesthetics, build quality, etc. They seem to have done a much better job. So the expectation of that was that they would actually improve their top-end models, the regular 4 and 4 XL, the non-A models. But we'll see if that actually happens. So far, based on the leaks, it looks like they're skimping out on memory again, with 6 gigs of RAM. Unless they've updated their software significantly, we're already on Android 10 seeing the same problems. That's one issue. Another issue is they've skimped out on a rear wide-angle lens, so we're still just with the usual camera and a telephoto, which I'm not as excited about, as I think there's been more than one occasion where I actually would take the front-facing wide-angle camera on a 3XL and use that for a primary photo just because of the wide angle I could have gotten. It's not a bad feature to have. Ideally, it'll be 3 different cameras like the iPhone 11 Pro Max is what I think it's called. But for now, we'll see what they come up with. There's been more rumors that there's another third device again. This is kind of the same as last year, where everyone was saying the Pixel 3 XL can't be it. The bathtub notch, that can't be it. But it was. And there was another Pixel Ultra, as everyone was expecting. So they have an opportunity this year to see what they can do. There's been a third code name identified, but I don't believe it means much. They've scrapped code names before, and it won't be the first time or the last time that they change it up again. We're just waiting for some of the bikes, and then we can cross. Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go. So I actually play that more on the iPhone because it tends to be more polished and tolerates the battery drainage a little bit better than the Android version. And also, I don't know what it is, but the mechanics about throwing the Pokeballs seem to be a little bit better on the iPhone. Not sure why, but that's what I've been noticing. So I've been doing that primarily on the iPhone with a backup account on the Pixel 3 XL. So in conclusion, for my rambling walk-in tech, the Pixel 3 XL, great device, probably the first flagship from Google that took the least amount of shortcuts, in that it has water resistance, it has wireless charging, it has USB-C, which I think they all did, which is great, but again, lost the headphone jack with the 2 series. But again, I think a lot of phones are going that direction anyway. And while I thought I used to consider myself an audiophile, I don't necessarily care as much these days with the wireless headphones that are coming out. And I can use a USB-C adapter if I really, really wanted to with a headphone amp. Anyway, I'm going to do something very similar next month. Take a few in-depth looks at the Pixel 4 XL as soon as I can get my hands on one. And that's it. Now we'll get back to walking, no talking.